I have repeatedly seen that these people are giving us the crumbs of technology and information. In fact, they go to, there's a conference, Bill Gothard seminars, where they teach spiritual principles for Christians. Their programmers go to these conferences. Their programmers, their mind control programmers know how a person can make themselves into a great spiritual being. They know this far better than most of the Christians, but they use this information for evil. They're able to take and set in things within the life of a person to prevent them from becoming the person that they could have. So there is a good positive flip side to this, but if you saw what I've seen, it would make you angry that these people are taking what could be used for the elevation of mankind and they're using it to enslave us. Now, as I go through this, I'm going to touch on a whole variety of things because, like Dean was telling me, he says, my audience knows a lot about the Illuminati. The thing of it is that the information, the level of information that I'm putting out about the Illuminati, unless you've been in touch with my information, you haven't heard it before, because that's a much deeper level than what the people are telling you. So I need to just touch on some things so you see the type of information that you can get, and this all pertains to the mind control. So we're going to run through real quickly here some overheads. Around this date, Admiral Stansfield Turner, who was head of the CIA, went before a congressional subcommittee, and he admitted to them that yes, the CIA is carrying out mind control on countless numbers of unwitting American victims. And he even went so far as to say the basic methods that they use in this mind control: hypnosis, drugs, and torture. And around this period of time that he was addressing the congressional subcommittee, why the New York Times had this article. Here they mention a couple names of these are mind control programmers, Dr. Ewan Cameron and Dr. Louis Jolyon West. They were two examples of mind control programmers. If we go back in history, you'll see that our governments are just carrying out methods of control that were written about long ago. Now, those of you who have been associated with the Army realize that they have a lot of pamphlets and books for their people. This was a handbook for chaplains, and inside this handbook for chaplains, they tell all of the religious groups that are recognized by the U.S. military, and one of those groups that's officially recognized is the Church of Satan, so that if you are a satanic priest in the Church of Satan, you are exempt from the draft because you're a clergyman. And Anton LaVey happens to be one of the mind control programmers that I have been exposing, and you'll see a picture of one of his slaves in here. In this book, in this handbook for chaplains, they will tell you that there are 3 degrees within witchcraft, and that is correct. Those first 3 degrees make up the anarchy level of the Illuminati, and then you have a hierarchy level within the Illuminati. Last summer, I went out on speaking circuit of 14 major U.S. cities, and there was a tape made, a professionally made tape in a television studio where I explain charts like this, explain a lot. So I strongly recommend that you get that videotape because it gives an excellent overview of a lot of things. But for instance, you'll have this diagram explained, and I go into the top 13 Illuminati bloodlines in that tape. I also have a book. This comes from a book, The Top 13 Illuminati Bloodlines. This pertains to the mind control because these bloodlines learned about these mind control techniques many centuries ago. These are the movers and shakers of the world. And for instance, the Rothschilds, their secret genealogy traces back, and this is inside information. You're not going to learn this reading a book. This is inside information. Their genealogies go back to Nimrod. So these are some very powerful bloodlines, and they have learned a lot of techniques for controlling long ago. And when you learn who the bloodlines are, it totally changes your view of history. Now, for instance, Grant and my co-author back there, Cisco, who I brought out of the Illuminati, her father was a programmer, and parts of her were used for programming. Her great uncle, her dad's uncle, was the head of the U.S. military during the Vietnam War, General Earl Grant Wheeler, and he was a descendant from Hiram Ulysses Grant, and Ulysses Grant was of the Collins bloodline and of the Delano family bloodline, two very powerful bloodlines, and you may have thought that he was just a common ordinary person. To understand what's going on, you really need to understand these bloodlines, and that's why I encourage you to get the book that we have back there, the Volume 1 book, The Top 13 Illuminati Bloodlines. These are just some representatives of those bloodlines. And these are Illuminati members that I'm showing you here that are representatives of the different bloodlines. And the DuPonts, for instance, have been in charge of a large portion of the military-industrial complex. They have produced the gunpowder for all of our wars. So every war that we've had, they've gotten incredibly rich. They also are into a lot of the chemicals. Every day you use chemicals that came out of DuPont factories. The Freeman family and Gaylord Freeman, head of the Priory of Zion. And this is the Kennedys. Here we see JFK at the Great Pyramid. It seems like a lot of these Illuminati types have made a pilgrimage to the Great Pyramid. And here's Anton LaVey. See if I can get him up a little bit so that the camera can see a little bit. This is Anton LaVey with one of the members of his church, Sammy Davis Jr. Sammy Davis Jr. was part of Rat Pack, which were working with the intelligence agencies and were Satanists. And one of his slaves, James Mansfield, is there kneeling down before Anton LaVey in a satanic ritual. And here was the first presidential model sexual slave that they allowed the public to see. This is Marilyn Monroe. She both James Mansfield and Marilyn Monroe had sexual relations with John F. Kennedy. And here I believe that you can see her switching personalities. When I start talking to you more about how the mind control is done, you'll understand what I mean by switching personalities, because they create programmed multiples where they get a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde effect. And here's, this is Winthrop, who's said to have the largest porn collection in the world. And the mind control slavery relates to the porn, the type of porn that they do too. This is Guy de Rothschild, very powerful man. His bloodline will have the Antichrist, and that's his son, David. And here's the Russell family, and represents the Russell family, and